What's happening, guys? Evan Tech Source. Welcome to Setup Wars episode 185 budget edition. So moving forward, all these episodes will have a budget of $2,000 or less, because I realized $1,500 just isn't enough, especially if you're considering the price of the PC. So I figured about $1,000 for the PC and another $1,000 for the setup makes more sense. So yeah, that is the limit for budget edition. And before I get roasted in the comment section about my beanie, this is just a one-time thing. I'm having a bad hair day, that is why I put it on. I'm getting a haircut tomorrow and it'll be gone by the time you guys watch the next episode. But anyways, with that said, if you guys want to participate, watch the video link down below. Let the setup wars begin. Kicking off the episode is Dushan from Serbia and his productivity setup. He pretty much only uses this for work-related tasks. He finished university and majored in Java Dev, HTML, and CSS. He also had a budget of 1,000 euros, which equates to around 1,100 US dollars, and this is the setup he built himself. He's using a single ultrawide from LG with a set of Logitech Z207 speakers, and then we have his keyboard and mouse from Redragon. I like that he managed those cables through the desk, and what's interesting is that he drilled a separate hole just for the mouse, but he did actually leave extra slack underneath the table. The rest of the wires are being held up with a SAPPHIRE rack behind the desk with a few cable clips to help with routing. Overall, not a bad job. The PC powering the setup has a 2600X and the GTX 1060 6GB. And while I appreciate you staying consistent with the color scheme of your setup, the LED lighting from your peripherals kind of ruins it. I'm not sure if you were aware of this, but Redragon actually makes a white version of their TKL keyboard, and they even have a white RGB mouse as well. I'll leave a link to them below if you want to check it out, but other than the aesthetics, I'm really digging this super clean setup. Thank you, Dushan, for entering, and good luck with your career. Markus is up next from Germany, and another clean budget setup that's used for a lot of things, from gaming to watching videos, designing, and editing. I'm really liking this desk, by the way. The glossy surface gives the setup a nice, clean, modern look. So majority of the budget is actually from the monitor. He hooked up a 28-inch 4K monitor to the desk along with a boom arm with a Blue Yeti microphone attached to it. I also like the placement of the boom arm, as it's kind of tucked away in the corner and it won't block the monitor during use. I'm also surprised he's using a low-profile keyboard for gaming, paired with an actual gaming mouse. I mean, at least he drilled a hole in the desk to route the cables through, and he drilled another hole in the rack to pass them through and into the SAPPHIRE rack in the back. Very nice. The only thing I have concerns about is the placement of the headset. I think in the effort of trying to hide them from plain sight, you might have put them too deep and away from reach. The desk that Markus is using is actually a corner desk with a built-in shelf and some drawers, and I like how there is just enough space to fit his PC, giving him extra space on the desk to organize his gear. The PC is super clean with a white and black color scheme, and it's got the Ryzen 5 2600 with the RX 580 SAPPHIRE NITRO Plus GPU. Some interesting gear choices for gaming, but nonetheless, it's a super clean budget setup. Thank you, Markus, for entering. Coming in at number 3 is Nayek from the Netherlands and his setup for gaming and watching videos. It looks like the desk is the IKEA Mom, but without a built-in drawer. Instead, it's detached with a set of wheels. I think this is actually discontinued from IKEA. So he's using a 24-inch AOC monitor with the Ajaz keyboard and M65 gaming mouse. However, he does have a spare Logitech mouse that he uses for school and work. For audio, he's got a set of Philips speakers and a pair of Sony headphones hanging from the wall. Now the PC looks pretty dope inside that Corsair 280X RGB case. It's equipped with an i5 9400F, 8 gigs of RAM, and the SAPPHIRE RX 580 Nitro Plus graphics card. The cables, however, can definitely use some managing inside the PC. I'm not sure why you ran the CPU cable and the fan cables straight across the motherboard instead of routing it from the back. I actually did a build in this case beginning of this year, and if you want to check it out and see how I routed the cables, I'll pin the video to the top of the comments. One other thing that kind of bothered me was the placement of the headphones. It just kind of seems out of place, especially since there is nothing else on the wall. If you don't want to hang it underneath the desk, maybe consider hanging it from the side of the drawer above your PC. That way you can use the wall to add a bit of personality to your setup. Thank you, Nayek, for entering. Up next is Rodin, who also happens to be from the Netherlands, and this is the setup he uses for gaming, homework, and a bit of programming. Even though he has 2 monitors and a Razer keyboard, the total cost of the setup is still underneath the budget limit. His main monitor is the 27-inch MSI Optics, which he uses for gaming, while the second, outdated HP monitor is used mostly for programming. The Razer Black Widow V2 keyboard looks pretty dope with the pudding keycaps, however I'm not quite sure why it's angled like that. I mean, I know some gamers play with a tilted keyboard, but that angle seems a bit extreme if I'm being honest. For audio, he's using a pair of Laptec speakers and the HP Omen 800 headset, which is hanging from the Alex drawer, and honestly, the placements for his audio gear aren't the best. I'm not even kidding, I think this is the third PC in this episode that's using a Ryzen 5 2600 and an RX 580 Nitro Plus from SAPPHIRE. AMD is indeed kicking ass. It's a great setup, but it's a bit bland for my taste and it definitely needs some fine tuning. Thank you, Rodin, for entering. Wrapping up the episode is Simon from Sweden and his elegant and extremely organized gaming setup. It does look like we have another mount desk without the built-in storage, and he did mount his 24-inch AOC monitor on the wall, right in between a set of Anderson speakers, which he plasti-dipped to get rid of the glossy finish. Keyboard is the Corsair K55 paired with the Mad Catz Rat4 mouse. Quick simple mod that you can do actually to straighten that cable is by picking up a tiny cable clip and putting it in the center of the desk and then clipping the cable on it. That way it's kind of going straight across your desk, kind of like what Casper did in the last episode. The rest of the cables are managed beautifully underneath the desk using some cable clips and extra points for that wall raceway hiding the speaker cables. But why didn't you do the same for the monitor cables up top? Also, if you really wanted to, you can paint the raceway with a similar color of the wall, so maybe something like light brown. That way it kind of blends in, because right now it sticks out a lot since it's the only white color in your setup. The headphones mounted against the wall don't seem that out of place this time around, since there is something to balance it with, and it's not the only thing that's mounted on the wall also. And finally, we got the PC. Once again, oh my god, with a Ryzen 5 2600X. However, he is using an MSI GTX 970 with 8 gigs of RAM. Some of the cables in here could have been managed better, like the CPU cooler for example. You could have tucked that away between the heat sinks and possibly routed the SATA cable from the side instead of the bottom. But overall, I'm really digging the vibe of this setup. It's super clean and organized. With some minor tweaks, you could really improve the overall look. Thank you, Simon, for entering. And that is it for this episode of Setup Wars. As always, you guys can vote in the comment section or click on the poll on the top right and vote on who you think has the best desk setup. If you guys want sneak peeks and other setups not featured on the show, you know where to follow me. I love your beautiful, beautiful nails, and I'll see you in the next video.